Hello and welcome back to another episode of Creator Codes. I am your hostess with the mostest, Cassandra. You can also call me Cass or Cassie, and I'm really blessed to be with you on this episode today. I'm actually recording this a day late because the energies have been a little wild, and I'm not one to push and to make something happen if it's feeling like I need another day to just move through whatever is moving through. And I'm recording this on the spring equinox, and I felt like the energies right before today were just ready to pop, and I feel like it's popping now. And I went live today on Instagram. I even asked you guys what you would want to hear on this podcast, and I had a couple people mention, how do we process emotions or move through them, or how can they actually work for us? And I'm putting it in my own words, of course, but I thought this was really actually perfect because that was kind of coming through in my collective reading today, of allowing the emotions to move through in order for our intuition to work better. And the episode is done. Okay, bye guys. Just kidding. But seriously, we need to be emotionally in tune. And I'm looking at my bottle of water. Our emotions are like water. They're always wanting to move. They always are moving. But if we are repressing, it's kind of like putting up a dam in our body, and then that creates disease. So there's 4 bodies. Let's just get right into it. There's 4 bodies. And this is in no particular order. We have the emotional body, which is what we're talking about today. The physical body, the spiritual body, and the mental body. Now, here's the thing about our emotional body. It impacts every single body. I mean that literally and figuratively. Everybody. It impacts everybody. Our emotional bodies impact everybody, yes, but they impact all of the bodies, all other 3. Now, technically, all of the bodies separately impact all of the other bodies. So the spiritual body, when there's a misalignment, it impacts all of our other bodies. But today we're talking about the emotional body because this is something that we can actually increase our emotional capacity. Like, we can do something a little differently, that is if you need to. And most humans, we just need a little more work in the emotional field, in the emotional body, because we focus so much on the physical. We focus so much on spiritual development and like on even our mental, like the thoughts. But what about our emotions? They are honestly like, okay, it's literally like the blessing and the curse of earth is emotions, because they can be some of the most amazing, profound, I'm hearing vital, and they are vital to our human experience. I think that's why my higher self was telling me that. I'm also wearing my higher self shirt today. If you're watching the video, this is my favorite shirt. I think it's Spiritual Gangster is the brand. Not sponsored, but maybe someday. Anyways, love that brand. Because who is not a spiritual gangster? That obviously, if you're watching this or listening to this, you are a spiritual gangster. Anyways, to be more of a spiritual gangster. And, this episode, or this podcast, not just this episode, is called Creator Codes. And so this is a very important code in creating, in stepping into our creator abilities, is our emotions. And it's not like handling them and being strong. That's not really dealing with your emotions. Sometimes it is. Like, there's so many ways that we can develop our emotional IQ, which is EQ, right? There's so many ways that we can allow our emotions to work for us. And that's what we're talking about today. And again, I just want to reiterate the importance of our emotions. If we don't deal with them, we cannot access our intuition, period. Because if we want accurate intuition, then our emotions have to be under a 17% as far as how ignited they are or how emotional we are. So if I were to read emotional bodies and I were to see someone as 60%, but they're just walking along the street and they have no idea, it's because of these things that are in there that just are not moving in the way that, your body and again, like all of these other bodies will show you if your emotional body is off. And an example is disease and cancer. That is literally repressing emotions. It is literally repressing certain energies that have been building up in the body that have not been in motion in the way that they have wanted to. And it's not just, the thing is about emotions is expression is involved. Now, this doesn't mean you have to go out to the world and cry and say, hello, I'm dealing with my emotions and this is how I'm feeling right now, everybody. That is not what I'm talking about as far as expression goes. You can do that literally by yourself or with your cats. I have Nelly, if you're watching the video, he crawls underneath the covers. So he's not dealing with his emotions right now, but it's okay. Nelly, we still love you. And then Rob's curled up back there too. Nellie's been hiding under covers, which is interesting because our pets are reflections of ourselves, and maybe that's reflecting something in me of maybe I'm not expressing my emotions as much as I can. Like, honestly, we all have work to do in this area, especially if we're a human on Earth, and I think all of you are humans on Earth, because that is, to zoom out a little bit, that's why our souls decided to come to Earth. A big part of it is the challenges and the beautiful moments that come from having emotions. They can be limitations, or they can be compasses. Emotions can be whatever you want them to be. Whatever relationship you have with your emotional body will create your reality. It'll really impact your reality in the way that you can create with your spiritual body, with your physical body, right? Our mental body. If all of this stuff is kind of feeling repressed or just like, oh, icky or something's weird, but I don't know. It's just been like that. So it's probably normal. I don't know. Most people are stressed. So like, it's fine. Like, we normalize feeling, not feeling. Ooh, we normalize not feeling. And we kind of talk about the feelings on top of the emotions. I think I've talked about this before. I don't think on this podcast, but feelings and emotions are very different. So when you feel anxious, that's not a true emotion. That's a byproduct. The feeling is a byproduct of a deeper emotion that's in there. Because anxiety is not something that we innately feel or like we'll always have to feel. It's kind of like choosing to suffer based on the pain that you're experiencing. That's kind of anxiety to me. And take it or leave it, of course, as always, with everything that I say. But this is just what I've channeled and learned over the years. Anxiety doesn't have to be there. The reason anxiety is there is because there's something underneath the surface that you're just not willing to look at. There's a deeper emotion there. And it could be feeling really sad. It could even be fear, like something that you're just scared of looking at or dealing with, which maybe it's an emotion about someone, about a breakup, about a potential breakup, about what could happen. And anxiety it's not a true present feeling. It's not a true present emotion. If you're feeling anxious presently, it means your emotions are telling you something about what you believe to be true about the past or the future. And that's where you can look in and find a little bit more, or maybe a lot of bit more balance emotionally. And the way to do that is to ask what the anxiety is trying to tell you. Again, we can really use the things that our body is giving us, the sensations, and it clears very fast when we sit with it. I worked with a coach last year, or I think it was 2 years ago. I swear to God, I don't know what time is anymore. I don't. He was my first, like, oh my goodness, I'm paying like thousands of dollars for a coach type of coach. And before we started every session, it was sitting in this stillness and feeling whatever it is, whatever emotion is there, to let us know where to go in this session and to speak with the emotions. And I love parts work. Parts work basically is a way to access parts of you that are trying to get your attention. And that's what emotions help us do. Again, they can be really helpful. Just like I talk about with the signs, symbols, synchronicities. Do we want to feel agony about constantly seeing the X's initials on the license plate, or do we want to actually look at like what this is showing me about myself? Because we are the creators of our reality. So when you sit in silence, and this is something I talked about this in my channeled message yesterday that I put out on Instagram and TikTok. We override the simple ways of life, the simple cliches of life. Be present, breathe, or just the ideas or the advice like get more sleep, breathe deeper, drink more water, meditate, move your body. Like literally the simplest things have the most profound effect. And so this is the one I'm talking about, and I really just want you to grasp this for a moment here. Or ask yourself, how often am I still with no consumption of phone, computer, TV, speaking with anyone, listening to anything, podcasts, whatever? How often are we actually silent with no input? That's also when we start to feel very anxious, because it's your nervous system. It's information overload. And that's what we're in right now with this age of Aquarius, which is incredible that we have this technology to work for us. But if we're constantly input, it's like, imagine a computer where you're uploading files literally all day. It's going to be like tweaking out a little bit eventually. And you're going to need to shut it down, restart it, close the tabs, and like empty some stuff out. And that is a metaphor for our emotions as well. Because a lot of times we just get caught up. A lot of people come to me and it's like, how do I stop overthinking? It's like there's so many thoughts. And that's the thing, is like we can go right to the source in our body, in the sensations. And when we go there and we deal with the emotions, then naturally your thoughts are going to be different. When you are in a steady vibration, when you are in a uplifted state. And it doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time, but it just means, I've heard that bliss, it's actually the feeling of feeling everything to its fullest expression, to its fullest capacity, even if it's sadness. And at this point, when I'm crying and I feel sad, there's something about it that I really love. There's something about it that feels so good to me because it just feels raw and real. And it's like, I don't know, there's something about it that almost feels like a warm blanket. And trust me, I don't want it to seem like I'm just sad about a boy or like surface level things. I know you guys know we all have our own experiences. We all have our own level 10 trauma in life, even though that looks different for everyone. I've been through a lot of tough things, and it's gotten easier, even though the situations haven't necessarily gotten easier. My brother was literally just diagnosed with cancer. And side note, like, this is not a place to be like, oh my God, no, oh no. It's a place to send love and light and excitement for his healing. And I just want to add that in there. Because I want his energy being sent his way of not like this sad type of feeling, but more of like, let's go. I said this on my stories. If you don't watch my stories on Instagram, I highly recommend, because I'm always expressing and sharing my personal stories and different things, sometimes readings, and stuff recently about my brother too, and the energetics of Cancer, which goes back to what we're talking about today. Truly repressing. And you'll know, you can really decode all of this. It's all a symbol, right? This is what I talk about all the time. It's like my mission is to help people become more aware of their inner world by looking at the outer world. The outer world includes your body because it's physical. I'm talking about the physical world, your physical body. And when your physical body, your physical world gives you something like a cancer diagnosis, this is a major wake-up call. It's a major wake-up call that your emotional body has been suffering. It's been suffering. And it's a cry out for help. So it can actually experience the pain. Because suffering is just not dealing with the pain. Everyone has pain. That's a guarantee in life. But you don't have to suffer. And it's tough to watch other adults. And I mean, a lot of people suffer, but they don't even know it. It's, again, like you get complacent and it becomes normal to feel a certain way, which is not really feeling. So when it comes to dealing with your emotions, I know this is where a lot of people get tripped up. And so coming back to just getting still and like not overriding that because it's so simple. Oh, I know. And it's not just like when you wake up and when you go to bed. Like, can you take a minute or two throughout your day to just be in silence? Like literally just a minute can shift a lot. Because if we're constantly distracting ourselves, I have to do this, it feels like, especially for me lately, there's so much to pack into one day. And we can't lose the priority of being connected with all of our bodies, including our emotional body. We focus so much on the physical because it's what we see, it's what we have to do. We have the children, we have to do this, we have to take care of all these people and all these things and eat and like all of the physical things. But when it comes to things that are unseen, like our emotions, we don't take it seriously because we can't see it. But these are the most important things, is actually tapping in with the unseen. And that means a lot of different things. That could be spiritual as well, but we're talking about emotions today. And so it can really be as simple. I really recommend like sitting up straight as well, so you can feel more present. A lot of times if we lay down and try to meditate, we like fall asleep. So like just make it a small practice and put a timer on your phone for 2 to 5 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with. Maybe start at 1 minute. By the end of the week, you're up at 5 minutes. And see if you can do that 3 times a day. And it's not being like, all right, what's wrong with me? I want to see what I can fix here. It's actually just being like, what is my body experiencing, and becoming curious about it. Because that is how your body will innately and naturally heal. Because again, cancer, that's just an example. There's so many other things. I mean, there's so many other ailments. Autoimmune, so common. These things happen when there's a lot of stress in the body, mostly due to an emotional dysregulation. And another example is my kidneys not functioning properly because of the stress that I was carrying in a certain area of life. It doesn't even have to be like just relationships or your business, like the big things. It could be like, for me, it was financial. And I've gotten a lot healthier as I've allowed my emotions to move through, and Sedona is helping me just uncover things naturally. I'm not like I came to Sedona to heal. It kind of just happened naturally, and I'm allowing whatever wants to come up. And sometimes there's big emotions that want to move through. And at this point in the spiritual journey, a lot of you guys are on this path with me, my soul fam. Sometimes it's hard to accept the emotions, because it's like, why am I feeling this way? I feel like I need to be past that, or like, what's going on here? Like, I'm better than that, or I know better. But that right there is repressing and denying and judging whatever's coming up. And your body doesn't need that. Your body just wants attention and to feel. I know it's so simple. I said on my live today too, there's a difference between thinking about your feelings and feeling your feelings. It's one thing to know you're mad. You know you're sad. You know you're disappointed. You know you're just feeling left out, right? It's one thing to know that, but can you feel it? Do you feel it? In this right here, if you're listening to this episode, Ru, Hayoshiki, it's just a call for you to slow down and to give yourself that unconditional love, which is being with what is. Whatever it is that's going on in your body, whatever sensations want to come up, get a little curious about it. Ooh, feeling tense in my throat. Ooh, my ears feel weird. My chest is feeling constricted, or my stomach feels off. Okay, good. That's beautiful to notice that, because most people, again, just get complacent with the discomfort, and then it becomes their normal. We don't need to live like that. And a lot of times the physical body there will be dis-ease, because there is dis-ease in your emotional body. There will be dis-ease in your spiritual body, in your mental body. So do yourself a favor and listen. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And that's why I wanted to do a whole podcast episode on this. I can do a 60-second reel being like, hey guys, feel your feelings. Don't forget about it. But it's important to have some context as to, like, to actually slow down and listen to this message, to really understand the gravity of how much our emotions impact our life and our ability to create, our ability to be in touch with our intuition. Our intuition is water. Our emotions are water. It's that feminine flow. When we put that dam up with the emotions, we're damming up our intuition. Damn it. We're damming it up. But it doesn't have to be complicated to release that dam. It's cathartic sometimes to let the tears flow in like the best way. Again, I kind of love it. And when you feel a sensation and you don't know where it's coming from, it doesn't matter. Don't feel like you need to understand every single thing. But the paradox is the more you release the need to understand, the more you're actually going to understand where it's coming from. Because you're allowing the water to move through, and then you'll start to see the pattern when you're more in touch with that, of when this feeling comes up. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's keep it simple. And let's have a real good cry. A real good one. It feels so good. Do you ever cry in your dreams? I don't know why that's coming up, but I think it's a lot of times your subconscious will do that if you're not actually doing that in your real life. I think someone needed to hear that. And it's not just crying. Sometimes it's like we also lose sense of celebrating small wins, big wins. I know for me, that's been like an odd struggle in my life, is actually celebrating certain things. And that's a beautiful emotion as well, is like being excited about when things work out and things go well. It's not just about expressing sadness and crying. Like sometimes it's dancing and like moving, like allowing this emotion to come to life. And when you do, it like goes where it needs to go. Emotions, energy in motion. It wants to move. That's why working out is so good, right? Like when we take care of our other bodies as well, it's easier to be in touch with and to manage and to love our emotional body and not feel in resistance to it. That's why it's been such medicine for me to work out every morning lately, getting back into that routine. It feels so good because it levels out the hormone. Like on a physical level, it literally helps me be more of like a clean slate. It's kind of like getting all that energy out. So when something comes up and through, it's easier to access instead of just like all this stagnancy in the body. And especially depending on what element you relate to. I'm an air element, which means mental. And this is kind of in regards to Ayurveda or just in general, like shout out to Dr. Brett Jones. I've mentioned him before, my chiropractor, healer man. He talks about the elements as well, more from like a shamanic, like indigenous type of way. Doesn't matter. But we all are kind of one or two elements. And so for me, I'm like, he says I'm water as well. And air is very much mental. Water is emotional. And so that's like the earth energy is grounded. That's the physical, right? And so the elements that you are not, it's important to really embrace to balance out the energy. So I'm not like too heady. So I'm not like all up in my head, because that's one of my shadow. I mean, it's kind of the shadow of a lot of people is overthinking, but especially if you're an air element, that's mental. I like to talk. This is air, right? Communication. And water, that's emotions. I didn't used to be water. So the goal is to kind of have it all of the elements balanced in your life. But just as far as personality, body types, everything like this, we all are kind of different elements. But anyways, that's a little bit of a side note, just kind of interesting to think about. Like, what element do you think you are? I also feel like I'm super fiery sometimes too. And I spend so much time in nature because that is the one element that I'm not as the earth element, but that helps balance it out. And so now I'm really, we want to be like kind of, the goal is 25% of each, or maybe 100% of each, I guess. So we can feel, and they all go with each body, right? The fire is spirit. The water is emotional. The earth is earth. Or wait, the earth is physical. Sorry. It was like a brain fart. And what am I missing? Water, fire, earth, and air. And air is mental. Okay. So just something interesting to think about. And I hope this helped inspire you to just slow down, to feel. And when you do so, you can just start to ask yourself, what does this part of me need right now? Or what is this telling me? I'm listening. You can speak to this part of you like it's a person, like it's a part of you. You can say, who is here? It could be your inner child, inner teenager. It could be maybe someone else's thought ends up getting into your field, and then you start to take it on like it's your own, and then you start to take on emotions from other people, especially parents or people that you love, carrying the burden for others. I know a lot of people relate to that, including myself. And that's why it's also important to cleanse our energy, to protect our energy. And this is what we will be going into in Tarot Intuition Mastery, where we can really focus in on how to tap in with our intuition, but set it up in a way where it's not just when you're channeling, when you're doing tarot readings, but when you wake up in the morning. Wake up in the morning feeling like, oh, I guess we don't want to talk about P. Diddy anymore. Okay, anyway, see, we want to protect ourselves from dark energies. So I invite you to join me in Tarot Intuition Mastery, depending on when you're seeing this or listening to this. There's a special price going on until March 26th. It's 333 as I look at the time. Ooh, and it just turned 334. Wow. And there's trees in the background. So we are all being called to nature right now, to ground in. Right now it is spring equinox. Doesn't matter when you're listening to this. It's important to ground in. We're always going through these transitions and changes. That is the only constant of life. And our emotions are always changing too. So just because you're like totally good and clear one day doesn't mean the next day there's going to be something that comes up, and it could be a memory, because water stores memory. So when certain memories come up, it might trigger a certain emotion that just wants to process through. And the key here, my people, is not to judge it. Releasing the judgment of whatever is coming up. This is the experience that we came here for as souls, to become humans, because no other species, I mean, who the heck knows? There's a vast universe and beyond out there. But as far as humans, it's a very unique experience here to experience emotions. And it's a gift. Let it be a gift. Don't let it be a thing that you have to deal with and don't want to, and it becomes this like crushing imbalancer in your life. Let it be a compass. Let it show you where you're not paying attention. Let it show you where you need to love yourself more, or want to love you. Like, honestly, it's your higher self being like, yo, let's do this, because like you want to do this, you want to feel this, because your life is just going to open up and become more clear. Your intuition is going to become more clear when you allow yourself to feel the deeper emotions, not just the surface anxiety, but what's underneath. Not just the surface like triggered anger, but what's underneath. There's layers to emotions, and the more often you can just take a minute or two and sit with whatever is coming up, even if it's like, I'm feeling fine today, so I don't really need to take any time to do nothing. It's like, no, wait a minute, hold on. We don't want to just call on to God when something's wrong. We want to always be connected. We don't want to just like deal with things when they come up. We want to have this, just like working out. We don't want to just work out when we feel fat. We want to take care of our bodies always. So why not do the same for our emotional body, our spiritual body, our mental body? Got to take care of ourselves. If you want to have a decent, fun, beautiful life where you're not clenching and feeling like something's always wrong. When the water is flowing through and your emotions are expressing themselves, again, it doesn't have to be to other people, but that can be beautiful too. When you have people to lean on and that you trust, let it out to them. It could inspire them as well. But as long as you're doing this with yourself, you're not going to feel like you need to dump emotions or people are going to trigger you because they've been repressed. If you're constantly triggered, that's a really big sign that there's been a lot of repression, and there's something that just is deeper that wants to come through and be loved. And then there's layers to that even too, because you can feel numb and not feel any kind of trigger. And that's a big sign that there's a lot underneath, because numb is not what we came here to experience. It's not what we naturally feel. And so light yourselves up by sometimes tapping in with whatever those shadowy, darker sadness, anger wants to come through, but don't neglect celebrating and feeling joy and expressing that as well to yourself and to others. And not just putting on a show on social media, but like dance in your room by yourself when no one's watching. That, like, your soul loves that. I'm telling you right now. There's no soul that's like, I hate dancing. I can tell you that right now. Your personality might not like it, but your soul loves expression so much. And I invite you. I also have visibility codes class tomorrow, which is Friday the 21st. Oh my gosh, now it's 3333 on my timer. Okay, so this number is significant here. Sorry for squealing. And this class will help you feel more comfortable. I mean, more comfortable with the discomfort of being seen out in the world and really allowing your authentic self to shine. It is Aries season, spring equinox. We're turning a corner where the sun is coming out, like literally and figuratively. It wants to shine from you. So that class is tomorrow if you're seeing this by then. If not, you can get the recording, no worries. And I'll be sure to leave all the links below. And then, yes, again, I invite you to Tarot Intuition Mastery, which is a 12-week adventure where you will feel activated in all of your gifts. And we really hone in on your intuition. We hone in on tarot as a tool in order to help activate your intuition. But also, as you activate your intuition, you're going to feel this natural ability to use tarot in a way where you don't have to memorize every single card to get it right at all. And so that's what we start with in Tarot Intuition Mastery is clearing the channel, setting up energetically, putting protection on, all of these things, right? And then we tap in and receive messages. And I go into all of this. You'll have Soul Family, a private Telegram group where you can practice readings together. And if you get into Tarot Intuition Mastery now, you will always have access for as long as I host this class. And I don't know when I will host it again live, but that's the best part, is going onto these live calls with you guys, doing readings for you, teaching through the readings, but also just like literally giving you readings for where to focus your energy at this time when you're in class. And I just love seeing other people do readings for each other, and you'll have a chance to practice that in class. And the recordings will be all about energy setups, like intuition, all the card meanings, lots like that, and like how to pair cards together and like how to actually put a reading together. I mean, we just go through so much, and it's 12 weeks this time. Last round, the first round of Tarot Intuition Mastery was 6 weeks. So now it's double the pleasure, double the fun. Okay. And right now it is discounted $600. So if you're hearing this by March 26th, make sure you sign up to get that $600 off. Otherwise, you'll just have to pay a little bit more, which is it's worth way more than the full price of $1,450. But I just want to offer it to you at that price, and there are payment options. If you're looking at my website and you're seeing the payment plans and you're like, man, I need something a little bit less, please email me and reach out to me, because I want to make sure the people that are meant to be in this course can get in. And I want to work with you on that, okay? So do not hesitate to reach out. My DMs are open on Instagram. And I just invite you guys to really allow your emotions to be a compass and to be a beautiful thing, because ultimately your soul came here to experience emotions. And so when we know that and we can have that perspective, they don't have to feel so hard. They don't have to feel hard. That's again kind of like when you say the word hard, it's like a block. It feels like an emotional block. So let it flow, baby. Let it flow. You got this. I'm here for you. Let's bring this soul family together in Tarot Intuition Mastery. And I will see you guys on the next episode of Creator Codes. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, wherever you're watching this. I really appreciate you for getting this podcast out to more people that can use this. All right. I will see you guys soon. Love you so much.